Jay Hardaway here, Tech Director of Vets Code. So, one of the things I keep seeing on the internet is people won't stop talking about, is software engineering cooked or not? And it's always a doomer or a gloomer, and no one in the middle, no one who gets paid to build AI into software engineering systems. It's never that. It's either you're going to listen to Boris Cheney or Andre, whatever the hell his name is, who's making money. And it's their jobs to help raise the quality, help raise the worth of the products that they're working on in OpenAI or Claude. Or you're listening to somebody who never wrote any code at all, has no idea what's going on, and they're saying software engineering is, cooked forever. And it's not, we're talking about us who, pretty much use this stuff every day and build the stuff into things every day. My background is I've been a software engineer since 2013. And I've been building products and applications, various companies. I've done SEO agencies, I've done startups, I've done media companies, I've done real estate or finance company, I've done big tech, which was enterprise tech. I've done political parties, I've done fintech again, I've done education, I've done government. The political parties. I have been all over again. And over the past 5 years, I have really been in the AI engineering bag. I've built AI and put AI, been on teams that have done AI engineering, done it and completed AI engineering entire workflow from software engineering lifecycle on products and production. We're not talking about where we are currently in AI to be able to alleviate people. And I think for me, what really helps is that this isn't my first rodeo. I've been privileged or not privileged, depending on how you look at it, to see other industries or other things transform based upon things evolving or bringing into the market, stuff like that, right? Things being turned into capitalist tools or resources, right? So one of the things that I see with artificial intelligence and software engineering that is going back and forth is it really is verbatim following what I saw in martial arts when I was growing up. And, even as a kid and as a young adult, for those of y'all that don't know, some of y'all do, you've been following me, know me for a long time. I started martial arts, Shotokan Karate, when I was 3. And I've been in martial arts pretty much my entire life. Last time I've stepped on the mats was 2 years ago, and that's because I kind of built my own training ground at home. So I could always just head into my office, then head into my gym and, start kicking and punching and things. Having said that, one thing that I noticed as a systems thinker is that with AI engineering, a lot of the correlation between what's happening today in industry and what happened is Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu started to inform and that history of it and how human intuition and grit started getting into play is mimicking that. AI engineering is really mimicking that, just in a different format, different context. So what I'm saying is, what is the moment that has happened and has been solidified? It has been the exposure period, the introduction exposure period. Has happened the last 2-3 years, and what we've already have come to understand. When UFC 1 hit, it was really just to introduce Gracie Jiu-Jitsu because people were trying to market that. That was what the Gracies were trying to do. And what it really kind of did to people who have been, in other martial arts. So all, for people that don't know or maybe too young or something, martial arts was kind of dominated by stand-up stuff, right? There was, even the middleware of martial arts, as I like to say, the judos and wrestling styles of Shanjia with Chinese martial arts and judo with Japanese martial arts. I'm pretty sure they weren't even getting as much attention as the stand-up arts, right? Stand-up arts were the front-end engineering of martial arts, right? the karates, the taekwondos, the kickboxings, they were the stand-up engineers. It's very easy for people to grow and understand, right? Even in the movie, it was easy to sell in the movies. As a result, it was, people were losing, right? But they weren't losing because it was just so superior. They were losing because there was no exposure. And so what happened was people recognized was that people who have exposure can understand this are going to do better than people in a, you know, no holds barred or unified rules or mixed rules combat situation, much better than people who are just linear on one thing and have no exposure to this. And that's the same thing that we've kind of gotten, to and has solidified in software engineering and AI engineering, right? We are, and there's no answer or question about it. The people who know something, know anything deeply, and are also using AI are going to be better and outperform the people who are just know the thing and aren't using. That's just where we are, right? You're going, even if you make mistakes, you're going to move faster. You're going to get it done faster with AI than without it. You still need to know your stuff though. You still need to know enough to know what's going right. A great example I tell people is like, I have tried to write code in languages I have zero exposure in with AI, and it has been horrible. To this date, have never been able to get Kotlin or Swift, a good Swift or Kotlin application, or a simple Swift or a Kotlin application to production, because I don't know enough about Swift or Kotlin, and I haven't taken the time to learn anything about those intentionally, because I'm like, I would rather spend time on languages that I teach and make money with, right? And Swift and Kotlin are neither. I've never made a solid, month's worth of pay off of either technology. So I'm intentionally leaving that as open as my litmus test of how good AI is. But with PHP, I have years of experience with PHP, I have years of experience with JavaScript, I have years of experience with SQL, years of experience with Python. I know those languages enough to where I can get AI to do what I want to and do it in a manner where I can understand where if it messes up the flows, how the patterns, have these conversations to go back and forth with it to get it to do the thing I want it to do. Can't say that for Kotlin and Swift, even today on the 29th of March, 2026, or I can get something into production. What I mean by that, not something on my machine that's okay, but something that is used by another person. I can't get from zero to being on the web, or I guess being on a phone with AI, because I don't know enough about those ecosystems. But I know enough about the other ecosystems that I can do that, right? On the web, I can do that. I know enough about Azure, Git, all of the stuff. I can do it. So that's where we are. Dummy number one who hasn't read anything about any type of code is not going to be able to push something all the way up to, Apple without any exposure at all. You're seeing, a lot of stories about people being able to push applications and they're not telling the full truth when it comes to AI, because most of the people that are doing it with AI, I've done the research, or I've done the backstory. I've actually read the articles that are done on them. They tend to be product managers or project managers or former UX designers, things like that. People that have been exposed to the entire software development lifecycle of code and putting a product into the wild, that they know, or they know how to ask the right questions, right? They know the gaps and they know how to figure out how to ask about the gaps, right? So that's where we are, solidly. That is settled law, that's settled language. The trending thing that we're seeing now is seniors who have good working knowledge and understand like AI when it comes to agents and orchestrating agents and have built intelligence layers. They are the new hot commodity. Someone truly who's been focusing on not working with AI, but actually building the intelligence layer of AI. and building that into systems, understanding how do I turn my Postgres database into a vector database? Why would I do that? How do I do the tagging, labeling? People who are looking at the concept from kind of ML, kind of data engineering, then moving into software engineering workflows, right? And building those AI workflows to make it secure and ensure that, hey, not only we're doing about safety, we're doing about the cost efficiency, we're doing about the performance. People who are making those decisions, that's where we are at now, right? Commanding nice salaries based upon that. So that, I guess, answers where like the industry is and what I've seen, how that correlates for my past experiences when I grew up was like, hey, this is AI to me has entered its sprawl and brawl era. You still need to be able to leverage the thing that you've known while also leveraging the new thing, right? So the people like Chuck Liddell is my favorite, and Quentin Jackson. Spoiler alert. I actually had the same stand-up coach as Quentin Jackson for about a year. He's now a commissioner for fight commissioner in Vegas, but Jeff Mullen was both my coach. He's coached me for several fights. He's coached Quentin Jackson for several fights. So, there's some shared knowledge there. But that's where we are in mixing in AI. And we're in this sprawl and brawl era, right? We're in this, like, the software engineers, the people who, kind of came up, and then they also now are learning this new skill of like how to implement it in a production as well, or build production. That is this new layer of being full stack kind of deal. Like, they are the new, they're the new champions for coming on board, right? So the Rich Franklins, Chuck Liddells, Quentin Jacksons, right? Those are the ones. Those are the type of archetypes that I look at an engineer. Now, what's going to happen afterwards is the next GSP, right? Well, AI and software engineers is going to enter the GSP phase. The person that goes deep in every single part of the stack, and in data, and in ML, or it's going to be focusing on being in the middle for the people who are the best and deepest. They're going to be right in the middle of everything. They're not going to be the best software engineer, but they're going to be, the best front end, but they're going to be in the middle. They're not going to be the best back end. They're going to be in the middle or near the top. They're going to be the B, C- student and all of it. And when they put it all together, they're going to be the A+ student of putting it all together, right? Like, if you were around during the GSP era, it was, for lack of a better word, insane. The dude was able to do everything to the point that we thought that we were going to lose this guy to the Olympics. Like, it was a very exciting era. So that's the next era that we have to start worrying and training for. The era where people are going to go deeply within each part of the discipline of the stack, so that when it comes to coming to work, they're able to not only use AI effectively, not only able to orchestrate AI effectively, but understand the data engineering component of building great AI, understand the ML engineering component of building great AI. They're going to be able to put all of that together better than anyone else. That is what's going to happen next. And I'm very excited about that. I'm personally already working towards that, trying to be like, all right, how do I get good enough? And like, I'm going through machine learning, mathematics. I am going through data engineering. I actually enjoy data engineering and those pipelines a lot. And I think that's what people should do too. And that's where, you're going to start seeing juniors start coming back, where they are going to be focusing on the parts of understanding AI or building with AI that seniors aren't going to want to take care of, the grunt work of building with AI, tagging the knowledge bases, right? Like the juniors, instead of focusing on doing JavaScript calculators, focus on, building their own knowledge bases. Like, I don't want an AI tool. I don't want you building a CRUD app that, for recipes, that is also has nothing involved for building nothing at all without your own knowledge base. So let's talk about you building a knowledge base for your recipes. How did you build this knowledge base? How did you have the ingredients that are in your house. How do you build a knowledge base? Or how did you build a knowledge base based upon style and country or of the cuisine and things of that nature, right? Because those are all important parts of building recipes, right? Like, what about a person's vegan or vegetarian? Like, or how many processes? Like, what about Indian food, right? The best vegan food is Indian. The best food on the market, like when it comes to like, if I have chicken thighs, maybe we should go to another nationality, right? Chicken thighs. The Chinese and Japanese have the Americans beat when it comes to making dishes with chicken thighs, right? With chicken thigh. Like, let's think about this in correlation of like the entire scope. Those are the apps that we're going to see coming into the future. And I'm very excited about that. And I think people should be understanding that AI isn't going to replace jobs, but the level of abstraction is going to get higher and higher and higher. And the jobs are going to pick up because, like I said, the seniors aren't going to build the knowledge bases. They're not going to do that work eventually because that's going to become a part of the grunt work. And the AI isn't going to be able to build the knowledge base because people are very protective of the knowledge bases, right? Like the data moats are going to be more. So it's going to get more data intensive and more about the knowledge base. So I highly recommend if you're a junior, start there. Start at the data layer and start at the knowledge base and then build your way up. Learn how to build a knowledge base. If you're a junior, that's what you should be focused on. How do I build a knowledge base and then build an app around this knowledge base? How do I build the data around this, right? Because that's how these things are starting to be created. And that's going to help you. And there's enough stuff out there where you don't need to go outside or go get a degree still to figure that out. You can go pick up some books or go on the internet, ask an app ask one of these AI tools about the first steps, and then build a thing around something that you care about. I would love to see anyone start building a knowledge base around Lego or about DC comics or about Marvel comics or anything, right? Build that knowledge base and build an app around that, right? And then talk to us about how you did it and ensure it was sanitized, secure and safe, and ensure that didn't have any, personal identification indicators of any of the artists or things like that wasn't out there already. How you protect personal identification markers from your users, things of that nature. Talk to us about that, right? Because that's where we're at. Software engineering is taking another level, just like how it was mixed martial arts. And I think that is something that we should be looking at. So tell me what other industries that you're seeing have the similar correlations that we're going through AI. And I'm definitely open to that conversation. So tell us in comments. And I can't wait to talk to y'all about more just musings and thinking of this.